Good afternoon, good evening, good morning to wherever you are. My name is Zach Hirschfeld with Prodigy Finance, based out of our New York City headquarters, as you can see behind me. We have a great program set up today. We have a wonderful student, MS in Computer Science student, Sumit from UC San Diego, joining us, which will be really great to hear his perspective from life in the US. We do have a few more people joining last minute. So what I'm going to do is wait until 9:35, so 3 more minutes for everyone to come in, and then we'll be able to start and get to all of the great information and to all of your questions. So thank you very much for joining, and we'll be with you shortly. Everyone, I think this is a great time as well. If you have any burning questions for either me or for Sumit, please do utilize the question box in the GoToWebinar control panel. We will be getting to all of your questions throughout the presentation, either through conversation between Sumit and I, or in the question and answer period at the end of the program. So do please utilize the question box. I see some people already have been sending some questions over. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. This is meant to be a conversation between all of us to learn what life is like in the US, and for you to get the most information you need to make an informed decision on your funding for the program, as well as which program you might want to pursue, all that good stuff. So we'll get to all of your questions. If I could just first get a quick show of hands, or just a question, yes, in the control panel. Can everyone see both me, Sumit, as well as the slides? There should be a blue slide that says Prodigy Finance on it. Can everyone see that? Let's see. Can I get a couple more people just to, you can raise your hands in the virtually in the GoToWebinar control panel. If you click on if you look at the attendees area, you'll be able to see a little hand button. Great. Wonderful. All right. Well, it is 9:36 in the East Coast, where I'm located. My name is Zach Hirschfeld with Prodigy Finance. We are an international student lender, and so I am based in New York, just 3 hours ahead of Sumit, who's joining us from UC San Diego. Sumit has been very generous with his time and is waking up early on his end to be able to join us. So thank you, Sumit, for me, and I'm sure all of our great attendees are thanking you as well. So I do want to start this off with a couple of poll questions, just to get a base of an understanding of where you are in your journey, any particular burning questions that you have. So I wanted to ask you the following. What stage are you in the student life cycle? So this could be, maybe you're just preparing for tests, maybe you've got your GRE score or any other score and you're shortlisting some schools, maybe you've already applied to schools, like I assume many of you have, and are just waiting for those admits. And then, hey, maybe you've gotten an admit and you're just trying to figure out exactly where you're going to attend. So let's see here. We've got almost everyone voted. Can we let's try to get every single vote in there? That would be great. I'll leave it open for a few more seconds. Looks like most of you are have applied to schools but are waiting for admits. Wow, at least 50% of you are waiting for admits, and then some are really early on, and 38% got an admit. Fantastic, congratulations on that. Hopefully you're excited and ready for the next step. We've got another one here, which is, I'd like to know why you're attending today's webinar. Are you planning to attend UCSD, UC San Diego specifically? Or is this more of just you're trying to get a general understanding of what life is like in the US and to study your MS degree in the USA? Or maybe you're just not you're not considering UCSD at all. Let's see, can we get a little bit more? Here we go. Yes, we've got almost 3/4 of you all have responded. Thank you. Okay, great. So it looks like some of you are considering UC San Diego, which is great. I'd say the vast majority of you aren't necessarily tied to UC San Diego as where you'd like to attend, which is great to know. This webinar will be very informative no matter what your decision is. Couple more before we get started. Bear with me here. We've got. I want to know what your understanding of Prodigy Finance has been before this webinar. So had you heard of us before, maybe just a little bit of information, or no, Prodigy Finance is brand new to me. This is important so that Sumit and I can help tailor the conversation a little bit in terms of if you are very informed or you're relatively new to the concept. Okay, great. Looks like a lot of people know about us. Fantastic. Great to hear. Looks like some little bit of information. Okay, it's a pretty good mix. I'd say mostly most of you have heard of us, which is great to hear. But we'll definitely get into sort of all the specifics as well as the general parts of Prodigy. And then finally, have you started a Prodigy Finance loan application yet? This is important for us to know, what stage are you in the process? For the people that have heard of us, what are you in the application form now? Have you gotten a provisional offer and you're trying to figure out, okay, what does that mean? Or maybe you're sitting pretty and your loan is fully approved. So let's see. All right, it looks like, let's see, let's get a couple more votes. All right, 80% voted. Oh, getting up there. All right, so it actually looks like the majority of you have not registered yet, which is great because you've come to the right place. So we'll be able to talk about everything, any of your concerns that maybe you is the reason why you haven't registered yet, or maybe trying to figure out what are the steps once you register as to getting your loan approved. So thank you so much for filling those out. Really, really helpful. So once again, for those, I know some people have joined late. Thank you for joining us. I want to take this opportunity to again introduce myself. My name is Zach Hirschfeld. I work in business development in the New York City headquarters. This is where we're based here. You can see our office behind me. We're based on 26th Street in Manhattan. We are also joined by Sumit, one of our borrowers. He's a MS in computer science student from UC San Diego. Really, really interesting backstory. We're excited to get into the conversation. He can tell you all about his journey and kind of what that took. I do want a bit of a housekeeping. I know you guys have a lot of burning questions. There's a questions box in the GoToWebinar control panel. I would love for you guys all to use that questions box to place all of your questions, even starting now, because what we'll do is we'll get to all of those questions at the end of the conversation, and that's really going to be a really informative and interesting conversation and experience for all of us. So without further ado, let's get into the presentation. So this is a little bit about what we're going to be talking about today. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background on who is Prodigy Finance. Secondly, we'll be able to meet our lovely guest, Sumit. After our conversation, we'll then go into a little bit of the specifics about the Prodigy Finance application process, everything from starting the application all the way to getting your funds dispersed and to start repaying that loan. And following that will be general Q&A. So you can use what I referenced using the questions box in the control panel. That's what will get to those questions. And I see many of you have taken advantage of that already. Thank you. Keep those questions coming. All right, so first off, I'd like to mix things up a bit. I have a quick pop quiz for you to test your knowledge of Prodigy Finance. So first question, true or false? I can get a Prodigy loan offer from Prodigy Finance before getting an admit to school. Vote on the option that you believe is true. All right, let's see. I need a little Jeopardy music or something in the background. That would be good. Next presentation, we'll do that. All right, thank you for voting. Interesting. So it's about 2/3 one way, 1/3 another. Let's see. I'm going to actually Here we go. Close. All right. I'll actually share these results with you. 2/3 of you said true. 1/3 of you said false. And the correct answer is true. You can apply at any time. So you can start an application, heck, even before you've even taken the tests to get in. And you can actually get a provisional offer based on the school that you would like to go to. However, the caveat to this is that you will not be able to pass fully to our loan approved stage through the verification process until you received an admit. Now, why is that? It's because we ask for a proof of admission in one of the first steps in the verification process. And that's essentially to understand, okay, we're trying to verify exactly what you said in your application is correct. And one of those pieces is, okay, so are you actually going to that school? But you can actually learn your provisional offer. So what's included in the provisional offer is your loan amount, your interest rate, as well as your loan term. And that gives you a lot of information to understand, okay, how much can I actually qualify for based on my profile? What is my EMI going to look like? What's my APR going to look like? All that good stuff. So we have one more here. True or false? I must either have a cosigner, guarantor, or collateral to get funding from Prodigy Finance. So one of those three, the three things there. Do I need one of those? to get funding from Prodigy Finance. True or false? Let's see. Keep on voting. We're almost there. We almost got everyone there. What do you say? A couple more people put in your votes, and then I'll share the results. Don't worry, you will not get a report card after this, I promise. All right, closed poll. Let's see. Survey says 83% were correct that it is false. The statement is false. You do not need cosigners, guarantors, collateral to get funding from Prodigy Finance. We actually don't even accept any of these things. So we only consider your credit worthiness as a student. We don't consider your family or anyone else in this application. But what's really amazing about our product is that it's all based on you. You're not burdening your family. You're not burdening anyone else to be a cosigner. You don't have to put up any assets or property as collateral like a lot of other lenders or financial institutions have you do. So that's exciting. So congratulations to 83% and 17% that said true. I hope you understand now, and we'll be getting into a lot more information later in the program. All right. So enough of that pop quiz stuff for now. Who is Prodigy Finance? So a lot of you said you already knew about us, but for those who don't know about us, here's a little bit about who we are. So we are a fintech company, a financial technology company. Many of you have heard of that term before. But basically, we take a very a standard lending practice in terms of a student loan, and we take data and crunch that using algorithms to predict what is your borrowing eligibility in the future. And what this allows us to do is this allows us to back up our assumptions and give you very good interest rates and loan amounts for your needs. And what we've been able to do with this is what we started on just MBAs, and now we've been able to expand to the top 100 engineering schools by U.S. News and World Report. So no one does it better in terms of lending with us on the breadth and the scale that we do. So this is our bread and butter. This is all we do is international master's postgraduate loans. We are a truly global company, and by that I mean we have people based everywhere and that we help people everywhere. So like I said, I am based in our New York City office. We also have offices in London as well as Cape Town. We do have colleagues in India as well. You might have met them at a info session, or maybe chatted with them on WhatsApp or some other medium. But we are a truly global company. We have nationalities that actually work with us. So we have over 120 full-time employees, people from all around the world, all different types of backgrounds, educations, everything like that. So we're really here to help you. And what we've done since 2007, when we started, is we've given out more than $300 million in loans. This is for MBAs, engineers, public policy, law, across the board, master's programs. If you're going to a top school, we can fund you. So this is really exciting. We've been growing quite rapidly, and many students who you may know, like Sumit, who have gotten a loan from us in the past, they are allowing us to grow our business even more, to help students like you to improve our funding potential into the future. So really exciting stuff, and we're glad to have you along for the ride. So let's meet our guest, but first, another pop quiz. You guys are going to be tired of me by the end of this. We've got one more. True or false? Prodigy Finance loans are dispersed directly to the university on my behalf. So yes, in that sense, Prodigy Finance pays the school for me, or no, I receive the loan directly from Prodigy, and then I go along and pay the university. So what do you think? What is it? All right, votes are coming in. Here we go. Let's get a few more there. Let's get that up to 80% again. Here we go. All right. Oh, even getting higher than that. Get a few more people. Let's see how we can. Let's make sure everyone votes. All right. And the survey says 83% of you are correct. Prodigy Finance does pay the school. We do disperse to the university on your behalf. This is one of the best things about Prodigy, in that we take care of the entire disbursement process for you. And I'll go into that a little bit later. But first, I know you're really eager to meet our guest, and I'm eager to speak with him, Sumit. Let's go. All right. So, Sumit, say hello.
Hey everyone, how are you?
So, everyone, this is Sumit Banani. He is an MS in Computer Science student at the University of California, San Diego. He has a bachelor's from BITS Pilani. Many of you either went there or have heard of it. He's got some great work experience as well as some research internships. And I'm really excited to have you get to know him. So quickly, I wanted to start off, Sumit, and I wanted to. I know a lot of students are asking this. When you were applying to UC San Diego, what was your student profile like? Like, what did you, when you were comparing yourself to different schools in terms of your GRE score, TOEFL score, your assistantships, all that kind of stuff? What did that look like, and how did that inform your decision-making process?
Hmm, okay, I applied for higher studies 2 years after being in job. I guess one thing that helped me really well was that my job was more research oriented as compared to software development. So that was a big plus. And on top of that, I guess one thing that stood out in my application would have been the other experiences that I had. As I said, I had two research internships during my schooling. So I did research internship at Papa Atomic Research Center in Mumbai and one in University of Manitoba, Canada. So I guess this might be the two major differences in my application. So one is having a job which was more research oriented and having a few research internships.
Absolutely. And how did you go about trying to decide on UCC San Diego versus another school that you were looking at? You know, how many schools did you apply to, and how did that decision-making process go?
Okay. So I've always wanted to go for higher studies, and initially I thought I would follow the same strategy as everyone else. So I thought I would apply to four ambitious university, three moderate, and two safe. But then I was really enjoying my job. So the key principle that I used for deciding which university to apply was that I wanted to have an admit from a desired university, and I thought that would be better than applying at safe university. So I ended up applying just for uh, ambitious universities, the universities I wanted to be at, and I skipped applying at moderate universities or the universities which were like which would have been safer.
Mm-hmm.
So I applied at CMU, MIT, Stanford, and UCSD. These are the only universities I applied at. And when it came to selection, I had two admits, one from Stanford, one from UCSD. The admit from Stanford was in statistical department, and I'm more interested in the application orientation. I'm more interested in the application oriented fields. So I went on to select UCSD, and like there are few factors that you can consider while selecting the universities. For me, it was where would I get to do a research in the domain that I enjoy. And if you actually look a bit, UCSD has a bit of collaboration with San Diego Supercomputing Center, and the medical school at UCSD is among the best in the US. So if you're interested in fields like healthcare or the application of computer science in healthcare domain, this is a really good place to be at, because you have professors over here who are like working on the exact same thing I want to work on.
Right.
So I guess that was a major deciding factor on why I went on for UCSD as compared to statistical department in Stanford.
That's great. So it definitely seemed like your interests and your work experience aligns with the type of work that you'd be doing at the school, which is great. Tell us a little bit more about your work experience. So what were you doing as a data scientist before you started the program, and how do you think that that influenced your ability to get into such a great school as UCSD?
Okay. After my graduation, I joined Oracle, worked there for about 6 months as an application developer, and then I moved to an ad tech industry. When I joined that particular company, there were about 60 people, and I was about 63rd or 64th people who joined the company. Uh, Being an ad tech domain, you can say I was being creepy. We actually used to get the complete browsing history of all the people in the world. It used to be a big chunk of data, and what we tried to do was, based on the user history, we tried to decide what profile the user might fall into, and then decide what might be his interest, and on basis of interest, find relevant ad which can be shown to the user. So that was the major work. And so if you talk about the hot terms in the field, I would say it was a really good use case for both machine learning and big data.
Mm-hmm.
Our daily intake of data used to be somewhere in the range of 15 terabytes. And we had some, really interesting problem when it came to machine learning, because like those who are in the domain would know that there exists a problem of class imbalance, sparsity in data, uh, extremely sparse feature set. So all of this problem, along with the challenge to work on extremely big data set, was, I guess, the major part of my job. And I learned most of those techniques, how the particular domain of data science and machine learning are operationalized during my job. So that is why I feel that my job was a really big help for me when I was applying for university.
Absolutely, that makes a lot of sense. Do you know any of your fellow classmates now? Do they have similar work experience to you, or is it quite a diverse class? Are there some people that had no experience at all, or not necessarily relevant experience as you did?
Oh, yeah, the class is really diverse. So one of my colleague, she was a ballet dancer, and she had a background in mathematics and statistics. I also have many friends who came right after the college. But usually, if you look at the people distribution, most of the people who directly came from college and joined UCSD directly were the people who had bachelors in computer science.
Mhm.
And if you look at people who are not from computer science background and who join UCSD in computer science department, they would have some sort of experience working in industry in relation to computer science. So yes, the class is really diverse. We have people from different part of the world, different culture, and yeah, the group is really diverse.
That's great to hear. I think a lot of feedback that I hear from students that are currently on campuses is that it can be very daunting that you have to fit a specific profile to actually get into a school. and it's quite cookie cutter, but in reality, the classes are actually quite diverse, and you actually might be able to get into a program that you didn't think you could get into because you didn't have specific test scores or specific work experience for that program. So I think that's a really important theme for a lot of applicants maybe in attendance. Real quick, for those who maybe have joined recently, we're having a little conversation between myself, Zach Hirschfeld with Prodigy Finance, and Sumit from UCSD, MS in Computer Science. If you have any questions for us, please utilize the questions box in your GoToWebinar control panel. Many students have already sent us some questions. Thank you. We'll get to them shortly. But if you have any further questions throughout this conversation, please do put them there, and we'll get to them at the end. So thank you. Sumit, in terms of now, once you've arrived or once you've got your admit, tell us a little bit about the visa process to actually, a very technical piece of this is securing your I-20 form and then getting the actual visa interview and then going on perhaps using your Prodigy Finance loan for that and then actually traveling to campus. How was that process like for you?
I would say usually the most time consuming part of the visa process is getting all your finance related documents sorted.
Yeah.
And truly speaking, Prodigy help a lot in that. I guess rest of the things were pretty simple. As you said, you need your visa, you need your passport, you need your I-20, and yeah, and I guess financial document. Like, I guess I had about this big file just for finances, and rest of the file was that thin. It just contained I-20 visa, my previous work experience letters, and my undergraduate degree. That's all. That was all this thick, and yeah, this thick were about the finances paper, everything, loan paper, all my account details, my parents' account details. If you have any relative in US, you have to also ensure that you take other details pertaining to them.
Yeah, yes. Absolutely. And I know a lot of students can be daunted by that visa interview process. How did you fare in that? How did that experience go for you?
Okay, I took a very early visa appointment. My visa appointment was right at 9 a.m. And to be truthful, even I was a bit anxious when I was standing in the queue and my number was right. I was like 5th or 6th in the queue. But this is how my visa application went. Hello, how are you? I'm Sumit. So in which university you are applying? I'm applying at UC San Diego. Which department? This and this. Who is funding you? I have a loan and these are my other papers. Thank you. Your visa is approved. So that was the procedure. I also know a friend whose visa was rejected. And his visa was rejected because he wasn't able to show, which is something known as close die with your home country.
Interesting.
So this is something I did not realize, but apparently if you're not able to show a really good reason of why you would be coming back, both in terms of say finances or a really good thing that works for showing close tie with the country is letting them know that you have a really family to look after in India and ancestral lands or something which basically is really substantial to link you back, like which would encourage you to come back to your home country. This was something even I was not aware of, but then he applied. By the way, he applied for second round of visa and he got his visa in the second round. But yes, you can at times get something known as, I forgot what is the exact section code, but you get a paper slip which says that you are not able to establish strong ties with your home country.
Mm-hmm.
So just try to ensure you have everything and all possible papers that you could take for visa interview. Literally everything possible, just put that in a big file and just take it over there.
I think that's definitely good advice. Better safe than sorry. Make sure everything's there. But I'm also glad that your loan with Prodigy Finance helped you in that process,
Yes.
which is great.
Just to add on to that, they just asked me for my like how am I being financed as a Prodigy Finance, and the only piece of paper they asked for me throughout the interview was my I-20, and I
Yeah,
had this big fight. So
that's great. That's great to hear. For everyone else tuning in, I would say don't feel daunted. I know it can be intimidating to walk in there, but I think our guest here, Sumit, can attest to the fact that if you have everything with you, they're very accommodating and will be able to pass you through. So that's great to hear. I wanted to get onto your experience at San Diego. So I'd like to know a little bit about, and we've had some questions around this, like what is your career plan, and what has been the experience at UC San Diego exploring different career options, getting to know professors, things like that.
Can you repeat the question again?
Sure. So in terms of your computer science career plans, what do you see for the future in terms of what you'd like to do with the MS degree?
Okay. As I said, I am a bit more inclined towards research, and masters in computer science is actually a stepping stone towards my PhD, and then try to get into academia.
Mhm.
So that's my career plan as of now. Why do masters before going for PhD? The reason is simple. I have like my undergraduate degree is in electrical and electronics engineering, and I want to pursue my career in academia in artificial intelligence in computer science. So I need to bridge that gap somehow. Secondly, master gives you a really good opportunity to explore various domains in the field that you want to specialize in. And I'm not sure, but many of you might have experienced that what you think is the field is going to offer might be different from what actually the field offers. So working in the domain and particularly working in academic settings gives you a really good perspective about how things are, what exactly is the domain going to offer you.
Mhm.
At UC San Diego, I would say I've been really lucky to have been in touch with the professor whose interest aligns with my own interest. Uh, so I'm actually currently working under two professors here. One of the professor is a veteran in neural networks. The another one is a professor who is well known for, so people in machine learning might have heard this term, AdaBoost. So he's well known for his work on AdaBoosting. And it's really great to work with them. All of them have a different perspective towards how they think a particular problem. While in industry, though I used to work on similar problem statements, the goal was different. The goal was mainly to get something working. Here, the goal is mainly to dive a bit more into depth about why those things are working, and is there any caveat to why they are working and what should be considered. So this is really interesting. And secondly, working in the labs, working with the people who are like-minded and people who share the same passion as you, I guess that's something you can really get at any grad school.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit more about your experience with the professors. So do you have any maybe tips or things that you did to be able to get to know the professors a little bit better, or to make sure they knew that you wanted to work on certain projects like the neural networks project, things like that? What things did you try to do, maybe successfully or unsuccessfully?
I would say the first step is, somehow approaching the professors. I see many people who don't even take that first step. They just think, let me do this, let me make a proper resume, let me get all my portfolio in order, and then talk to professor. And believe me, how so much you refine your resume, how so much you refine your CV, it's never going to reach that perfect level that you want to achieve. And many people just don't approach any professor, uh, and they are stuck at refinement. So the first thing I would say is drop a mail to professor and wait for his reply for 2 days. Okay, 2 days is a bit short. Maybe wait for 4 to 5 days, and then maybe drop a follow-up mail. And it might be possible that you still won't get a reply. During one of our lab meetings, I was working on a particular project at UC San Diego, and I dropped the email to professor. During lab meeting, he asked me about the progress, and I told him that I'm stuck at XYZ thing, and I already dropped you an email about it last Monday. Uh, this is something he said in the meeting. He wrote his mobile number on the blackboard and said, whenever you are dropping me an email, also send me a text on mobile because I receive so many emails that I'm sure to miss your email. So I guess at times the best way to approach the professor is maybe to take a class under them or look at what time they would be free, go and meet them, talk to them. And so far in my experience, I have found no professor who said no if you said that you would like to work under them. They would ask you what you know, they would ask you what are your interests, and they will say you a bit more about what projects they are working on, and that's it. So I guess the first step is just approaching the professor and somehow start talking with them, and yeah, the rest take care of itself from there on.
That's a great tip. What's your experience been in the U.S. and then San Diego specifically? Like, so once you got there, how did you find housing? Where are you living? Are you living on campus, off campus? And what has that transition been like for you?
Okay, my answer is going to be a bit more, I would say, extremely off from what usual answer would be. My best friend came to San Diego just a year before me, and for me, settling in US was actually easier than settling in Bangalore. I belong to India, and it was easier for me settling in San Diego as compared to settling in Bangalore. When I landed in US, he came to pick me up at airport. Uh, he took care of my lunch, breakfast, dinner for next 4 to 5 days. I had no housing. He did not allow me to, book any off-campus housing. And yes, so I came to US. I had no place to stay, uh, and I had absolutely no idea what is to be done. But he was there right next to me, taking care of every single step. So that really helped me a lot. Uh, the very second day, he told me, "Okay, Sumit, you need to go to this and this office, this and this floor, this and this particular, and you need to meet this and this particular person to get your ID card, to get your other documents done, and all those things." So yeah, my experience would be extremely biased when I say that for me it was really easy. But I can give a bit perspective about my other friends. They came to US. They had a off-campus housing setup, but they apparently did not have gas and electricity for their home. So they were trying to figure out what is to be done, and they had to sleep without a mattress, without a bed, for first day. We landed late at night, so there was no way they could have gone for taking groceries or anything, just because they were not aware of the fact that there are few stores which are open 24 hours, and so on and so forth. But I guess it might be a really good idea to get in touch with a few seniors at the college you are going to. Try to get to know a bit more about the place you are going to be at. Uh, get to know about the essentials, what should be done while you arrive at the campus. What are the first few things? For example, in San Diego, you should get your gas and electricity connection before you actually move to a house. Otherwise, it's useless actually. And a, a bit small things which you would usually not find on any blogs, but if you talk to any seniors, I guess they would be able to help you with that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. What do you think is your what was the biggest transition for you in terms of, was it the food on campus? Was it the weather? Was it the commute? Like, where's the best place to get food? Your favorite place in San Diego?
Favorite place? Okay, the beach is right 1.5 miles from my residency right now. So just 2 days after coming to San Diego, I got on-campus housing. So and then we were able to do a room swap. So me and my best friend, we got the same apartment.
Oh, nice.
We have a beach which is right 1.5 miles from here, and the weather in San Diego is never too hot and it's never too cold. So it's like ideal temperature throughout the year. So I would say the best place is just get out and sit. Get out anywhere and sit. Weather is best. And if you just want a bit more scenic environment, just walk a mile and there is a beach right there.
That's fantastic. So have you done any traveling since you've gotten to San Diego, either within California or elsewhere?
Oh yes, I drove to LA during my winter break. We went to Magic Mountain, Griffith Observatory, and a few like cliche places in LA. And yes, one thing that might be really helpful is at different states have different laws when it comes to driving related things in US. But if you're coming to California, it's better to bring your home country license over here so that you can rent a car and move around. It's really easy if you want to go around to just drive along.
Yeah.
And yeah, there might be few people who might be a bit worried about driving because of the left side and right side driving situation, but it's not that hard. You just need to drive for 5 minutes to before getting used to it. So
That's great.
do bring your driving license. That's really helpful and saves a lot of money too.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, San Diego and LA are actually quite close together. They're right at the bottom of Southern California. So it's easy to get around if you're based in LA, based in San Diego. It's just a short drive away. All right. So what do you say we get into some questions now? First, I wanted to go into just briefly about how the application process works. I do know there's been some questions about the application process, so I'll get that out of the way now, and then we can get into more different questions. So in terms of the Prodigy Finance application process, some of you have already gone through this. Some of you are just at the cusp at the application process, but everything starts with the application. And applications on prodigyfinance.com are based on a particular university, school, and program. So let's say you want to go to University of California, San Diego, MS in Computer Science. What you would do is you would apply online. You would go to prodigyfinance.com. There is a Get Started button on the upper right-hand corner. You would click that, create a profile, and then start an application for UC San Diego, MS in Computer Science, and your particular class start year. So most of you would be for fall 2018 intake. If there's a spring start that you'll want to join, there would be also a spring starts option for you as well. So in the application, we'll ask you to give us some information about yourself, just some background on you, everything from where have you been living, so where you're from, your work experience, what you made at your last position, at your last job. We'll ask you if you have any debts or liabilities to your name specifically, not considering your family. This is all about you, remember. And we'll ask for a couple of other pieces of information. One of the most important pieces of the application process is the budget section. So the budget section is based on cost of attendance of the particular program. So for MS in Computer Science at UCSD, you could have a cost of attendance, which is tuition and living expenses combined. You might have a different level of that at UCSD versus USC or Texas A&M or Northeastern. All of those different schools have different costs of attendance. So you'll look on there and tell us how you plan to pay for the program in addition to a loan. So in there, you'll be able to request your loan amounts. And then if you plan to use any savings or a scholarship, things like that, you can put that in there as well. All of those things need to add up to the full cost of attendance because we need to know that you'll have enough funds to be able to pay for the program. So once you submit your application, you'll then hear back. Most students actually hear within a few minutes or a few seconds what their provisional offer is. And the provisional offer, so Sumit has had one of these, a number of you have had a provisional offer as well, but included in that is the loan amount that we approved you for. So that could be the total amount you request in the budget page, or it could be slightly less depending on how we forecast your affordability to be. So you'll get a loan amount, you'll get an interest rate that is unique to you and your program, and you'll get the total amount payable and what we call the EMI, or what you would call the EMI, we call the average monthly payments, which is essentially takes the total amount payable, says that over these certain amount of months, you would have to pay X amount of money. So whether that's $200 a month, $300, $400, depending on the total loan amount and the loan term, we will give that information to you transparently right in that provisional offer. So you'll have 2 weeks to accept this provisional offer. If those 2 weeks elapse, don't worry, your application will expire, but we can always reactivate that for you. So don't worry about that. If you choose to accept the provisional offer, then you'll go through the verification steps, which will ask you to provide supporting documentation like proof of basically whatever you said in your application is correct. So things like you are who you say you are, so we'll ask for a copy of your passport. You live where you say you live, so we'll ask for a proof of residence, so like a utility bill or a signed lease in your name. We'll also ask for a credit report for those who live in India. That will be a civil report. It's easy. You can get it online for you. And then we accept that as a digital copy. Once we go through the verification process, you're all set. We approve your loan. We actually go through a process called certification in the United States, which is the school actually formally approves your loan amount. So it's an electronic process. Once your loan is approved, we send the details to your school. The school then comes back to us electronically and says, okay, check. In Sumit's case, Sumit Banani can borrow this amount of money, and then we can disperse the funds. So we disperse the funds to the university on your behalf. We take care of all of the logistics. We disperse on time in accordance with the tuition due dates. Everything is taken care of, so you don't need to worry about currency conversion or international payments, anything like that. We take that into consideration. So everything else is fine. You can then focus on your education. You then will go through a grace period, which is 6 months after your course ends is when you don't pay anything. After that 6 months, then you begin regular monthly loan repayments based on how much was your interest rate and how much money you have borrowed. So that's kind of a base amount, base kind of a process for borrowing with Prodigy. One quick thing around borrowing and repaying early, you can absolutely repay early at any time, and that's for no fees or penalties. So if you actually wanted to pay the loan off in 1 year, you can do that, and that will actually benefit you. You would pay less interest overall because you are saving on the interest that would have accrued later on in the second, third, fourth, fifth years. So if you can do that, that's great. I do see some more questions are coming up, so thank you for using the questions box, and we'll get to your questions shortly. Sumit, I wanted to ask you a question, and some people have asked this too, just in terms of your own experience with Prodigy Finance, with the application process, and everything, and the disbursement process, and everything like that. How was that for you?
It was really smooth and easy. I guess the complete time it took from like when I submitted the application to getting it approved, like the final approval, I guess it was less than a week or something, like about 7 business days. Uh, I remember I did some mistakes while filling the form initially, but I dropped an email to Prodigy and they were like fast enough to make a few rectifications in my application. And yes, after that, I got a provisional offer and accepted the very same day. Then began the process of, as you mentioned, just submitting all the documents. One of the really great thing was since everything had to be submitted electronically, I did not have to, like run from here and there, getting all the papers in my hand and then going to a bank and submitting it. I was living in Bangalore. Half my papers were in my hometown, and few other papers were with my sister who was living in another city. So had I gone through any other application process, I guess I would have to, even do one complete trip of India just to get all my papers at one place and then submit the paper. Over here, it got really easy. I just asked my father to get a few to scan a few documents. I asked my sister to get me a few scans of the document that she had, compile everything together and submit it. And the really good thing was, since I already, so if you were to go to the fact page of Prodigy, you could find all the documents that you need to submit even before your loan is approved. So while my loan was, pending for provisional approval, I already started collecting all the papers. And yes, by the time my loan papers were approved, I already had all the paper that I needed to submit. And yes, that's it. And I guess then I just sat back, relaxed, wait for the loan to get approved. It got approved, then just sat back again till I came to US because you can't do e-sign from India. I reached US on 7th of September, signed the paper on 8th of September. Again, sit back, relax. My loan got paid, sit back, relax. I got my second disbursement, sit back and relax. And yeah, I guess everything was really, really smooth. And I forgot to mention this, but one thing that really made Prodigy a much more better option for me was not having any cosign, collateral, or guarantor. So had I gone for any other loan in India, I would have to like submit tax paper for my parents, without which I would not have been able to get a loan. And both of my parents basically fall under non-tax paying citizens, so they don't have any tax, like proper tax documentation which would have been required for the loan in that scenario. In case of Prodigy, since it was mostly based on my paper, my documents, my tax details, I did not have to even worry about that. So yeah, it was really, really easy. It decreased the paperwork and it decreased the amount of time that I would have needed to do the paperwork. So yes, everything was a plus, plus, plus.
That's great to hear. We love hearing the good experiences.
Can I add one more point?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And surprisingly, even without collateral, guarantor, or a co-signer, the interest rate from Prodigy were lesser than the interest rate from any other banks. When I say any other, literally any other bank in India. And secondly, oh, I forgot the second point, but anyway.
Well, I think that's a really important point, right? And around the interest rates, around the fully online capability. That's really why we're a fintech company, and that's really why that's the difference between Prodigy Finance and any other Indian bank or any other bank or lender around the world, is this combination that we can get you a great interest rate and everything is fully online and it's easy. You can sit back and relax. Sumit, you had another point?
Oh yeah, I just remember the second point. The second point was the loan amount is being dispersed directly in US currency. Mm-hmm. So that actually saves you a lot of transfer and exchange rates. So that's again yet another important point.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's a really great point. And I want to now go over to our questions, and it actually transitions into a question from one of the audience, which is which is what is the difference of taking a loan, a Prodigy loan versus an Indian bank, versus a bank in India. And we've touched on a lot of those points in terms of collateral, in terms of ease of use, dispersing in USD, taking care of the disbursement for you, all that good stuff. Sumit, question around this kind of choosing Prodigy versus other Indian banks. Did you go through that process at all, or were you ever skeptical about Prodigy versus an Indian bank? How was that whole decision-making process for you?
Okay. I do started. Okay, I usually enjoy reading a lot and then trying to take decisions. So if you talk about what are the procedures that I went for Indian banks, I just read and I stopped right there. I read about the procedure of Prodigy Finance and I started comparing them. And like, if you just do all this work, you will just realize what all things you need for getting a loan. For me, getting a loan was really crucial before I get to US, because you have to show you have to show proper funding during your visa interviews. And it so happened that once I came to US, actually got funded for my studies here because I'm working with one of the professors. So actually, I'm even done with one of my one of the payment for one of the disbursement of Prodigy. But the really important thing is, during your visa, you won't have any of such proofs. So you need to show proper funding for about a year and a half. So usually about 1.5 times your I-20 amount. When it comes to Indian bank, as I said, then they require either a collateral, or they are going to ask you for like the tax details pertaining to your parents. They are going to see, are your parents able to pay back the loan amount for you?
Right.
In my case, as I said, since both of my parents were did not satisfy that criteria, so to be precise, I would not have been able to receive the amount which I would have been needed to come to US had I just relied on other bank, because I guess it would have been max capped as 150k, 150k INR, not 150k Indian USD, and that would not have been sufficient for for loan documentation over here. So yeah, you really need to take care of the small things here and there. And I guess most of the Indian banks would give you a loan somewhere which would be capped in the range of 15 or 40 lakhs. And most of the universities might ask you to show funding somewhere in the range of, I guess, 60 to 90k USD. That would transform to somewhere around 36 lakhs, so about 1.5 times of that. So you usually have to show a funding somewhere in the range of 50 to 60 lakh, and depending on the university, that might go even a bit higher. So yes, taking loan from Indian bank at times is really a long process. And I would just say, look at the paperwork, look at the interest rate, look at the benefits, and I guess you would be able to make a it would be easy for you to make the decision. For me, it was Prodigy. If something else works for you, that's fine, but just go through all the terms and conditions, and I guess you would be able to make a good choice for yourself.
Absolutely. And for anyone that's looking to compare different loan products, different things like that, definitely we give you all of the necessary information for you to compare across different lenders. So we'll be very transparent up front in that provisional offer. What is your loan amount? What is your rate of interest? What will your monthly payments look like? And then the total amount repayable over a certain year. Please if you're looking and comparing Prodigy against another bank or another lender, please ask them to provide this information for you, because it's really important to compare apples to apples, as they say, to make sure you're getting the best deal you can possible. You need to consider, how much it's going to cost you that way. Like Sumit said, how much is it going to cost you in time in terms of, how stressful is this going to be for you? How long is the process going to take? Is it fully online? Is it everything going to be hard copies and in person? Are you going to have to provide collateral or some other cosigner potentially burdening your family or someone else? That's really important to figure out. So please do your due diligence, take your time, and make sure you're making the best decision for you that you can. Yeah, Sumit, you have a point?
Yeah, one more point to add. So I noticed a few of my friends, they had problem, like they came to here, but apparently few banks also require you to, go and have a few payments during your studies, and those have to be done in person. So even take care that you don't sign any loan offer in which someone from your family would have to go to a different place to do that procedure for you. If you're living in a city, that's fine, but if your family lives in bit of suburb area or a bit remote distance from city, then that might be a bit troublesome. So even take care of that. I know one of my friend, and after she came over here, like she had to spend about endless time on call just to get all of these things resolved. And she spent 3 days not sleeping because in mornings we had our classes, and India is exactly 12 hours behind, so 12 hours ahead. So she at night she was awake talking to every bank officials, trying to find like hopping from one contact to another, talking to bank manager, talking to branch manager, talking to the particular district manager, so on and so forth, talking to Western Union manager because they somehow did not did the fund transfer properly or something like that. So just try to have all the papers done before you leave. And yeah, one thing that might be really useful is to give your parents a few paper in on which you already signed. That really helps a lot.
Yeah. That brings up another point too, in terms of being able to contact the particular lender or bank that you have at any point in time, and the ways that you can contact them. So I don't want to speak for any other lenders, but in terms of getting in contact with us, you can always get in contact with us via email, phone, also live chats. Once you are logged into the Prodigy Finance website, on your profile, you can actually live chat with our operations team now, which is great. We're also very active on WhatsApp, as well as a number of other social media platforms. So you can contact us at any time, day or night, and get to someone that can help you. So we have another question here, and I know we're going a little bit over time, but we have some good questions here. So I just want to answer this one right here. How is money dispersed to students' accounts? How does it work with living expenses going into my account? So great question. Like I said, Prodigy Finance takes care of everything, the entire disbursement process. If you have a loan that's getting dispersed that is more than your cost of tuition that is due. So let's say for sake of argument, you have $20,000 due, and you're actually getting a $30,000 payment from Prodigy, a $30,000 disbursement from Prodigy. The school will accept that $30,000 in total. They will take $20,000 of your outstanding bill and will pay down that bill. So your bill is set, and you're good for that semester or year. And then the remaining $10,000 will be transferred from the school to your personal bank account that's tied with the school. So it's a really easy process. It usually takes only a couple of business days if you set up direct deposit with your school, but the school takes care of everything. So we never disperse living expenses directly to your account. It always comes through the school. Thanks for that question. All right. What else do we have here? We had one student, and I know you spoke a little bit about it earlier, but in terms of landing a TA position, what can you just give us a brief bullet point of landing a TA assistantship and kind of what that means, how you went about doing that, Sumit?
Okay, for TA, as I said, the first step is approaching a professor and dropping an email. Many people just skip that first step. Uh, During my first quarter, I landed a TA 7 days after the quarter started, just because I guess many people did not even apply for a particular position. There were few positions which were available, and I would say I got lucky. When it comes to funding with the professors for project fundings, it usually works better if you contact a professor or take a class under them, perform better in their class, and develop a sort of communication with them and start working with them. Usually a professor would take you in for the first quarter without payment, but if you work really well, you can get like your funding approved for the upcoming quarters. So yeah, the first step is contacting the professors.
That's great. Really helpful. I hope that answers your question. I think we're going to have to leave it there in terms of questions. I do want to just quickly let you guys know ways to get involved with Prodigy. So obviously you can start an application. You can go online and find your provisional offer within a few seconds. The next possible ways to get involved with us are, like I said, we're very involved on WhatsApp. So you can join a number of our groups that are available. You can send me a question if you'd like to learn what those links are for the WhatsApp groups. We have groups for every single school that we fund, as well as general groups where you can get that general knowledge. If you, like I said, we're now at the top 100 engineering schools. But we're not, we don't have every single course available that we can fund on our website yet. We're scaling that up right now. And how we're doing this is what we're asking you to do is request your MS program. So if you go online and let's say you want to go to Northeastern University in Boston, but you want to go to the computer science program, but you don't see the computer science program on there, you only see electrical engineering, please tell us. You can send us an email at info@prodigyfinance.com, as well as we have a survey online that you can fill out. So if you want the link to that survey or a link to our email, please send me a note in the questions box, and I'll be sure to send that over. Also, we have a program called Growth Hackers. Growth Hackers is a way for you to be involved with the Prodigy Finance growth process in terms of expanding out to more schools and getting the word out within your home country and within your city and neighborhood about Prodigy Finance as an option. So we have a great program with lots of great perks available to be as a growth hacker. If you want to be involved in this program, just send me a chat right now in the questions box. Just shout out and say, hey, I'd love to be a growth hacker. I will get in touch with you, and we'll make sure we set you up. It will be a fun gig to be a growth hacker with Prodigy Finance. So last but not least, this is my contact information. Like I said, you can get involved with us with live chats, WhatsApp groups. You can learn about future events. If you're in India, we're having info sessions and events in country regularly, so we'd love for you to check that out. You can go online to our website and find all that information under the resources page. Also, join us on Instagram and Facebook. Those are our links right there. We'd love for you to share your story, as well as follow our journey as we grow. We'll be visiting campuses all spring, so you can figure out, find out what life is like on campus, all that good stuff. Lastly, I just want to finish with 2 polls. I just want to let you tell me if you found this webinar helpful. This will help us make sure that we continue to have helpful programming for students like you in your situation. Do we have a couple more people that could vote? Perfect. Thank you. 100%, it certainly was. Fantastic. Thank you so much. And one more, just after this webinar, how likely are you to apply for financing with Prodigy Finance? If you could please just tell me quickly, what you're thinking. Maybe you hated this webinar and you don't want to apply anymore. I seriously doubt it, but possibly. And yeah, just let us know. This will be helpful for our tracking purposes. Great. Looks like many of you already have. Very exciting. Those are some good results. Some already have. A lot of very likelies and some maybes. So good to know. All right. Well, this concludes our webinar. Sumit, thank you so much for waking up early on the West Coast of the US and giving us your perspective. This has been super helpful. The comments are really great. And thank you so much again for joining us today.
Oh, the pleasure is mine.
And thank you to everyone else who joined from back home. Looking forward to connecting further and hope to talk to you soon. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.